Is email ruining your life? Because it was definitely ruining my life. I'm Lucy Cohen, and I'm one of the co-founders of Mazuma, the first ever subscription-based accounting service for the UK, and now the largest provider of accountancy services to small businesses and micro businesses all across the UK. Email, as a company founder, was literally ruining my life. I started to get the dread every time I opened my phone or my laptop, because let's face it, we're all surgically attached to our phones, right? It's very hard when you're a business owner to actually switch your phone off. But yeah, it was ruining my life. I was getting the dread. I was opening my phone and seeing like I had, leave it a couple of hours, I'd had 30 emails. Like, oh God, how am I going to deal with this? And just this sinking feeling of, ugh, I've got to handle all this stuff. And my goal this year has been to quit email. I hate email. It is such a time drain. You get sucked down the rabbit hole of email. And I just felt like it really wasn't adding value to what I did or to the work I was doing with other people. So I've got a few little hacks of how I have significantly reduced the impact of email, both on the time I have to spend on it, but also on my mental health as a business owner, because it was literally, like I said, ruining my life. The first thing I've done is in terms of my team, so I've got a fairly large team now, I have told them all that if I am CC'd into something, then that will automatically go to a separate folder. So I, by default now, don't read things that I am CC'd into. I've let everybody I know who I work with know this is what I do. And if people don't know that, they very soon find out. As far as I'm concerned, if I'm copied into something, it's just an FYI. That's what it's there for. It's just an FYI to know that I might need to know about this at some point in the future. I don't need to go and read that email immediately or do anything about it. So I've set a rule up on my emails where they go into a copied folder and I don't need to go and look at them. And then every few days I go through and just check for anything urgent, but it means it's not there in my inbox as a to-do, because I use my inbox like a lot of people do. My inbox is a to-do list and we want to be working down to inbox 0 all the time. And it's almost impossible when you're copied into your endless email chains, like being copied in on stuff and the reply all function, bane of my life. So all my team know that now, and they go to a separate mailbox, separate folder for me. The other thing I do, and this isn't my hack, I stole this off somebody else, but it's genius, so I'm going to share it all with you, is that no matter how good you are with your email hygiene and unsubscribing from lists and all the rest of it, you will get an awful lot of marketing emails. And some of them you might not want to unsubscribe from because it might be useful for you in the future. Some of them may be a learning or professional development that you do want to dip into at some point. But the noise they can create on a daily basis in cluttering up your inbox can be a nightmare. So what I have done is I've created a folder called unsubscribes, and I have a rule with those that says anything that has the word unsubscribe in it, for GDPR, for marketing emails, it has to say, do you want to unsubscribe from this mailing list? Anything with the word unsubscribe in it goes into that folder. So I don't see it either. And then every few days, once a week, I go through and skim for anything that might be useful or might need, and I delete the rest. Those two things on their own have cut down the noise in my inbox so dramatically. I occasionally now think, is my email actually working? Because I'm confused that I have so few emails. And that is where you want to get to. I now regard email, we have so many other ways to communicate with people in an informal manner that we shouldn't be firing emails back and forth for quick discussions. We've got things like Slack, we've got things like Basecamp, we've got Teams. There's all these kind of ways we can communicate with our teams and with people we're working on projects with that are not email. In my mind, email is now more the equivalent of when we used to get letters in the post. It should be used for sending important documents or covering larger bits of text. It shouldn't be used for pinging back and forth. That's such a waste of time. And in terms of dealing with my outgoing emails, what you don't want your emails to do is to result in more emails. So you want to cover off absolutely everything in one go. And you need to think about what questions is going to bring up, and I'm going to preempt them. A really, really, really easy way of doing this is to literally put that in the email to go, I'm imagining you might have some questions. You write what you want to write. I'm imagining you might have some questions about this. Preempting that, this is what I think you're going to ask, and just give the answers to it. And then at the bottom of it, put next steps. So if you want them to do something, you're going to write next steps. I would like you to do this by this date, or next steps, I'm going to go and do X, Y, Z, and I'll come back to you on this date. Then you diarise it, and that should kill the conversation. That should be it. If you don't do that, what will happen is you end up in this kind of email ping pong again. And at that point, you may as well have just picked up the phone or had a meeting about it. And you just end up with this constant noise of this ongoing conversation that never gets resolved and spans multiple days. When if we were all sat together next to each other, or you were sat next to that person working on that thing together, that would be resolved in like 5 minutes. So you need to start thinking about how you're going to get the time you're spending on emails down. And it's by making sure you've got rules set up to filter out the noise, and making sure that you're crystal clear when you're responding to your emails, what's going to happen next and who's doing it. And that should just cut down all of the noise. Use your diary to diarise follow-ups, block the time out to do that. And ideally, don't have your email open all the time. Check it first thing in the morning, and then check it last thing in the evening, before you close your laptop down. And because you'll have a reduced amount of noise in your emails, you block out those times, you time block that time to do those emails. That should be enough. Somebody once said, and I can't remember who, nobody emails the fire brigade. If something is really urgent, somebody will pick up the phone and tell you about it. If not, and it's just on an email, it can wait, and you can spend that time that you would have spent ping-ponging emails back and forward and getting lost in all that noise doing something way more productive. So that's kind of revolutionised email for me over the last year. I still want to quit email. I still hate it, and I still hate that it's everywhere. But in the meantime, until I can do that, having those little hacks in place is such a good solution, and I highly recommend that you do the same.